It's your friend that was holding the microphone, I think. Yeah. I feel like this is what would happen at the end of Ghostbusters 2 when they release everybody, or all the ghosts from the thing, if it was like a horror movie instead of a comedy. Oh, fuck. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm Theta, and this is Stoneface Reactions, and yes, I did do that in the wrong order. I'm a little bit thrown right now. We are in the final episode of this season of Jujutsu Kaisen. We've basically destroyed, what we'll say, a good portion of a city. I don't know. I don't know how big the city actually is. That's funny to say out loud because season 1 was literally the street layout of the city. So we destroyed a good portion of the city. A lot of people are dead. A few characters are dead, mostly on the bad guy side or the cursed spirit side. Let's say I'm not going to attribute morality to what they're doing, given that their side kind of views what they're doing to be the good thing for cursed spirits and whatnot. And the element of cursed spirits are created by humans essentially being a thing. There's a whole philosophical road you could go down here on who deserves to exist. It's funny to watch this show after Full Metal Alchemist and their whole homunculus human diatribe. Who deserves to exist, how they can exist, is coexistence a thing? You know, I can never remember her name. The biker lady who talks to Geto, who inspires Toto, trains Toto. Her point of view, Geto's point of view, and then I guess existing cursed sorcerer society's view, and how they stand against one another, who's right, who deserves to be right, who can be right. And then that versus the whole who's the most powerful, who deserves to rule situation going on here right now with the Brain versus Sukuna, all of that. Everything's coming to a head. By the way, the Brain's ability to steal people's powers and take them really feels like I don't know who Sukuna wants or power set they desire. Like, everything they do seems focused on Megumi. And it feels like a character appears every so often where I'm like, why wouldn't Sukuna want their power set? Like, the power to steal other people's powers? Pretty damn strong. Like, that's every shonen anime's copy character, right? Where I can just take your powers, now they're mine. Um, All for One, for example. I know there's a Naruto version. That's where I just deadheaded. I couldn't think of the character's name, but yeah, they're out there. They're out there, and it's like, why wouldn't you want them? They're clearly the strongest people. Whereas Megumi just summons a couple of dudes, and one of them is really strong, but you already beat them. Do you need the power set of a thing that you know can be beaten? Anyway, where are we right now? Right now, we are in the situation where Mahito is gone. He's been turned into a marble, which I believe is also another character's power set from a different anime. Brain has that. Choso has gone on to fight Brain because I still don't understand where Choso is getting the whole Yuji is my brother thing. It feels like somehow he fell into Toto's psycho imagination, even though Toto wasn't present. Like, Choso got hit by a thing that just made him like, I've defeated Yuji, time for me to leave the fight. But wait, Yuji's my brother. I don't know where that happened. Also, he mentioned another guy's name during the fight last episode who was there. So, I'm not exactly sure where Choso inferring that guy, Is he saying he's part of that guy's family? Or I'm sorry, I'm just really confused by it because the other guy was like, me? It's like, wait a second, that is you. And you have blood powers. What is this? I don't know. This is all the more reason why I should have been keeping a board, and I apologize. I said, hey, I'll probably make a board, and I didn't do it. I'm a liar. I lied. I didn't make the board. If there's a season 3, I will definitely try to update my board with everything because now I know that I'm at least caught up and I can keep track of things, and I really would like to have an update board come season 3, which I guess is obviously me saying when season 3 comes out, I will watch season 3. I don't give up on shows that keep going. Of course, Alex is in the chat and saying Choso is inferring that due to Brain's ability to jump between bodies and extended his life by doing so, it's not impossible to think that Brain was one of Yuji's parents at some point and had him, making him technically his blood-related brother. Okay, sorry. I was reading that, anticipating you to answering the other thing that I was talking about, which is the other guy who uses blood powers, who he said his name out loud. I don't know. The idea that Brain being old has any like inherent weight or interest kind of just like falls off the wayside for me, knowing how old Sukuna is. The fact that Sukuna is so old, no, he like sacrificed being around a long time ago and like broke his pieces apart. It's just that when you're an old character and the interesting thing about you is how old you are and could have done things, it just falls to the wayside to bring somebody around that's like only 100-something years old, right? They imply that Brain has been doing stuff for like 150 years, right? The idea in my head is like one of my favorite DC comic villains is Vandal Savage, a Cro-Magnon Neanderthal or whatever. It couldn't be a Cro-Magnon Neanderthal. Cro-Magnon is a pre-human, whereas a Neanderthal is a different race. He is a caveman, so he's been around thousands of years, which is cool and all, but then you bring in like another villain whose thing is I've been around since the 18th century. And it's like, okay, cool. You're like, 300 years old. This guy's a couple thousand years old. It's like, okay, I don't know what we're doing here. That's what I feel like when they're like, Brain is this old. He could have set anything up. Sukuna's been around a couple thousand years. I'm no interest in you, Brain. You're interesting because of your abilities. You're not interesting because of how long you've been around. I guess maybe. Maybe he's interesting because he's been around long enough to have set up this whole plan that he's doing right now. Whereas Sukuna doesn't seem to have any real plan other than, I guess, wait around for Megumi to get born. And my other thing about Brain is I brought this up, I think, last episode. Anyone who watched Heavenly Delusion, and I guess spoilers for Heavenly Delusion, the idea in that show is, well, there's so many fucking ideas. Heavenly Delusion is an amazing anime, and if you haven't seen it, watch Heavenly Delusion. It's going to get a second season at some point, and this is also me saying, when Heavenly Delusion gets a second season, I will be watching it. If I can, I will possibly try and drag lessons into watching Heavenly Delusion, because I need somebody to bounce ideas off of. It's so fucking good. I need somebody. Because, I mean, if you watch our reaction, I was like 1-for-1. Everything. I was calling it out before it happened. One of the things in there is that transferring your brain into another body, and something that we talked about during the reaction is the fact that I think they discussed it. It's been a long time. It's been a while since we watched Heavenly Delusion. One of the things they discussed is the fact that the brain keeps aging. So it's not exactly a means of achieving immortality because your brain will still develop all the things that are going wrong with it. I mean, that guy's got to die. We got to see that. Well, actually, it's not even a guy. The rapist guy, he's got to fucking die. We got to see it happen. And whatever happens to those kids, except for the kids that killed one another. You know, the ones that give him their eyeball, and then the one who shot himself. And God, there's so much fucking things I want to see. Anyway, of course, it doesn't exist in Jujutsu Kaisen because Brain is a cursed spirit and not a human brain, even though it looks like a human brain. Because, I mean, technically, if this was any other show, it could just be a spirit inhabiting a body. It didn't have to be a brain who stitches your skull cap open and sits in your skull. Sorry, I've gone off on a weird tangent here that people, I'm sure, in the YouTube comments are just skipping over. We are in not even the end game, because so much of the story of Jujutsu Kaisen that has been set up so far cannot end with whatever happens in this episode unless we do some major time skips. I don't see that happening. I think whatever ends here has to either take care of the well, it's not the Ghetto storyline because Ghetto's dead, unless Ghetto's like uh, muscle twitch response does something here. I doubt it. This has to be either the end of the Brain storyline or the Gojo trapped in a box storyline, right? Or I guess it could all. Seriously, I was about to say it could be the end of the Yuji storyline, but I don't see Jujutsu Kaisen continuing without Yuji. I can't remember the name of the show. There was another show we were watching. Oh, Mushoku Tensei. The idea has been tossed around plenty of times that we could watch Mushoku Tensei without Rudy in it, right? Rudy, being the centerpiece of Mushoku Tensei, exists for like 2 seasons, and then I feel like after that we have built up enough of a ensemble of characters that the show could progress without Rudy. I think that Jujutsu Kaisen does not exist without Yuji. He's too much of a central character of the show. So when we come up with the thing of Yuji is someone we will sacrifice in order to destroy segments of Sukuna that we have stored within him, I don't think that happens because, I mean, not here anyway. Maybe maybe that's the end of the show. I don't know. But I don't think that happens here. We can't end the Yuji arc because to do so I feel like would end the show. So, yeah. And I guess in my perspective, that's either ends with the brain being gone or with Gojo coming back from the seal. Other than that, though, I have no idea. I think we've brought together everybody that's left available to come together, except for, again, those characters that are outside the scope. We've got, like Lori, who's fucked off. He's gone. Was it Miguel? Was Miguel? Nah, it's not Miguel. I'm thinking of somebody from a different show. There are 2 characters from the movie that went to a different country. They're obviously not going to show up here, I don't think. Okay, it was Miguel. Sorry. There's also a Miguel in Gundam Seed who dies within like the first 2 episodes, and we literally just looked at a picture of him in a flashback the other day, and somebody in the comments was like, "That's Miguel from the first 2 episodes." So Miguel is a name that's coming up a lot. Also, I think Miguel is in a different show that I'm also reacting to. Huh. I guess there's just a lot of Miguels in anime these days. That said, though, I think we're going to go ahead and hop on into it. So let's see what happens in the final episode.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this, unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Now I think it's surprising that we're starting this episode with the opening, Because I would think that I would think in the more normal parlance of anime that if your ending episode is going to be so packed with content or story or whatever, the typical thing that you do is just don't have an opening. That you start with the action, you continue with the action, and you end with whatever you're going to end this with. And sometimes you don't even have an ending. Like, unless it's like the series finale, typically you just have credit over whatever's happening, and you just end, right? But we're spending time on an opening. One you've conceivably seen. Most of the city. Most of the city was the answer to a question I asked a long time ago. At least the blackout for most of the city. Also, I'm still surprised emergency services, the police, Japanese special defense, self-defense forces, nobody's showing up. I mentioned her, I forgot that she showed up. I do want to see what her power set is. Wait, Lori? I keep fucking mentioning Lori, he's actually showing up? Is Lori her, like, third student?
重力の最適化だ。いや、俺にはどちらもさっぱり。そのプランは12年前、全員当時が死んだ時点で捨てたと思っていたよ。ゲート君に話しかけたんだけどね。まあいっか。
Wait, how does he have the memories of Ghetto if it's a different brain?
そっちのプランには大きな穴がある。海外では日本に比べて呪術師や呪霊の発生が極端に少ない。最適化プランには天元の結界が必要不可欠なはずだ。天元を利用するということは呪力が最適化され、術師となるのはこの国の人間限定。呪力というエネルギーをほぼ日本が独占することになる。他の国はもちろん世界各国が黙っちゃいない。
That superpower.
生身の人間がエネルギー源なんだ。どんな不幸が生まれるかは。
But if there's not that many sorcerers, how would they even know about it? That superpower, I
それ
mean.
は私が描く理想とはかけ離れた世界だ。それがなんだ。そもそも目的が違うんだ。私は呪霊のいない世界も牧歌的な平和も望んじゃいない。非術師、術師、呪霊、これらはすべて可能性なんだ。人間という呪力の形のね。だがまだまだこんなものではないはずだ。人間の可能性はそれを自ら生み出そうともした。
I mean, like, what though?
だがそれではダメなんだ。
I need to know what the options are to...
私の可能性の息を出ない。答えはいつだって混沌の中で黒く輝いているものだ。わかるかい？私が作るべきは私の手から離れた混沌だったんだ。すでに術式の抽出は済ませてある。マヒトとかいう呪霊がいるだろう。魂に干渉できる術式を持ったやつ。さっきあいつが取り込んだけど。個人が？無意天変。
stupidly, I thought he was going to transfigure everybody on Earth for some reason. So what are we in the domain?
これは術式の遠隔発動。
礼を言うよ、虎杖裕二。呪霊操術で取り込んだ呪霊の術式の精度は取り込んだ時点でその成長を止める。君との戦いで真人は成長した。
Oh, almost like he had significant character development, you might say.
何をした？
マーキング済みの2種類の非術師に遠隔で無意天変を施した。
But who and for what reason? I mean, because they're non-sorcerers, what would the reason be? Megumi's sister? Was that right?
虎杖裕二のように呪物を取り込ませた者、吉野純平のように術式を所持しているが脳のデザインが非術師のもの、それぞれの脳を術師の形に整えたんだ。前者は器としての強度を、後者は術式を発揮する仕様を手に入れた。
So people that could have become sorcerers will become sorcerers, and the other ones will be half cursed spirits? I don't know if I'm understanding the other side.
マーキングの際、私の呪力に当てられて寝たきりになった者もいたが、じきに目を覚ますだろう。彼らにはこれから呪力への理解を深めるため殺し合いをしてもらう。私が厳選した子や呪物たちだ。1000人の虎杖裕二が悪意を持って放たれたとでも思ってくれ。
1000人か、控えめだな。それに人間の理性をなめすぎだ。力を与えただけで人々が殺し合いを始めるとでも？
I mean, every other anime has told me, yes, that's what will happen. Why is this person serving brain and Sukuna?
ムカつくからみんなであいつボコろう。
いや、今動けないんだけど。どうした、裏梅。
反転術式で肉体は再生させた。これは毒が。
鮮血で俺の血が混じったんだ。当然だ。
待って、舞ちゃんの援護がない。あっちにもまだ仲間がいるのかも。
葵と10の子、あとスーツの子は私の仲間が保護しているよ。場違いだからね。
動けるか？
ああ、私は体温を調整できる。問題ない。
ほら、もういいよ。
I mean, it'd be weird if the guy who's advocating for killing Yuji doesn't survive this. Not to make it to season 3.
だが、私と契約を交わしたのは術師だけじゃない。まあ、そっちの契約はこの肉体を手にした時に破棄したけどね。
まさか。
これが、これからの世界だよ。
This feels like Ghostbusters, episode 1. The real Ghostbusters, I'm sorry. So is the idea that Megumi's... No, this isn't Megumi's thing. She's gonna get away with it. I thought Lori was gonna be on their way.
再び呪術全盛平安のような。
Evidently, Sukuna doesn't give a shit about any of this either. Oh, not that big a part of the city, as it turns out. Opening lied. Just like the next day or something? I legit thought when it froze that maybe I was wrong and that was Sukuna coming out to stop everything.
どう少なく見積もっても500万人の都民の疎開プランを組まねばならん。
各地のラブホテル、キャンプ地、配送まで最低限のインフラでいい。使えるものは全て使ってください。それより都民には何て説明すればいいんですか？
原因もわからんのに発表のしようがないだろう。
また政府からも依然として何の発表もなく、単なる変電所の不具合なのか、それともテロ、あるいは地震などの自然災害が起きたのか。陰謀論者は来すぎ。いいからスマホやめて手伝ってくんない？
わかりました。
はっきりと無事と断言できるのは奥多摩の調
They're not talking about like the destruction. It seems like they're just talking about the blackout.
町田市の一部各当所だけです。今はでしょ。放たれた呪霊の数は1000万はくだらないぞ。
都内全域を避難命令区域に設定するんですか？その後立ち入り禁止区域とする。まさに人外魔境さ。
それより発表はどうするんですか？どこがやるんですか？
どこってよりどう発表するかでしょう。副長官とはまだ連絡が取れないの。
ダメですね。秘書ともずっと連絡つかずでして。
どうすりゃいいんだよ。
I mean, plenty of shots of places with nobody at them in the dark, as opposed to the other shots like this in the light with plenty of people.
経団連ブチギレ？
みんな死んだらロビングもクソもないでしょ。
Explains Mai's whole thing about selling the interests.
このままでは呪霊が各地に大量発生する。多くの術師が都内で避難民の警護に当たっている今、この時にだぞ。
この規模で権力の真空、他国の軍事介入もありえますよ。
はい。いえ。はい。わかりました。呪霊の存在を公表するそうだ。呪霊の存在を公表する？マジで言ってんの？呪霊はあくまで東京のみに発生するものとして公表するそうだ。
Yeah, I mean, they didn't really explain why it doesn't happen that much outside of Japan.
だから関空ができた時、伊丹を移転候補地として推したんだ俺は。
逆に良かったんじゃん。これ霞が関が元気だったらできなかった判断でしょ。
Why do we keep flashing back to this if we're done with this? Especially if it's daytime. City lights shouldn't be on so much if it's daytime.
これがいつまで続くのか。
なんだよ。
It's your friend that was holding the microphone, I think. Yeah. I feel like this is what would happen at the end of Ghostbusters 2 when they release everybody. Or all the ghosts from the thing. If it was like a horror movie instead of a comedy. Oh, fuck.
明治に張り直した皇居を中心とした結界と、幕末に東京遷都候補地だった厚生宮直上を中心とした結界。これらを無理やり県境まで拡張する。
Are we zooming in on the hole, or is the hole getting bigger? I don't know what to expect. Is she just gonna fucking blow up? Is she gonna turn out to be a cursed spirit herself? Cursed sorcerer? Was the door open before? Because conceivably to what Brain said, I would think that she could see cursed spirit stuff now. Yeah, because he marked a bunch of people, right? They just fucking try and trick you. Also, I was crazily seeing that in the opposite. I thought it was a giant mouth and not a ghostly figure.
お母さんは
お母さんもお父さんもお姉ちゃんも弟も先生もいるよ。
私に弟はいないよ。あと先生は嫌い。
私に弟はいないよ。あと先生は嫌い。
大丈夫？飲む？
How can you still be alive and scavenging and be tricked by this?
ちょうだい。
I don't think this kid would be this dumb. This is also how Bleach starts. The anglerfish, hollow. Well, Yuji's back. There's Yuji, right? Yeah. Welcome back from the movie, Yuji. Sorry, yeah, Yuta, not Yuji. I knew who it was. I said the movie. We all know what I meant. Like I said, she's clearly been surviving and scavenging. How the hell would she have fallen for this? Miguel? Don't look, I like that. I appreciate the don't look. Okay, Rika, I'm sorry. I thought she was embodied in the sword. I didn't think she was around.
ここまで事態が進んでしまったのであれば、一度泳がせて様子を見るべきなのではと。気づいたかな？私は君たちの味方というわけではないんだ。ただ世界から呪霊をなくしたいだけのしがない美女さ。お詫びと言ってはなんだが、あの場にいた子たちは私と私の仲間が責任を持って送り届けるよ。私もいい加減。天元と向き合わないとね。
I mean, to be fair, I was on Tengen's side from the first half of the second season.
ご苦労、おっこつ。
ねぎらう気なんかないんだから、さっさと本題
It's
に。
weird that we come back to Yuta, though.
これで僕があなたたちの命令に従うと分かったでしょう。
呪霊をいくら殺したところで何の証明にもならんさ。
じゃあ縛りでも何でも結んだらいい。五条先生の教え子とか関係ないですよ。彼は渋谷で犬巻君の腕を落としました。虎杖裕二は
Did he? I don't remember that. Oh, bro, he was Sukuna. Never mind. You blaming Yuji for Sukuna's actions? Well, I guess that, yeah. Even though it's not. What the fuck? No, what? Wasn't an accomplice? I guess if you were, maybe he's slightly responsible for Geto, but not, the Gojo thing is bullshit. That's fair, I guess, technically. It's fucking dumb. I guess that's supposed to be the shock factor thing. Big shock, government's dumb. It's certainly a change to the status quo. Give it that. And exactly what I said wouldn't happen. I mean, I said that they wouldn't kill Yuji. I guess technically, though, ordering his execution is still kind of the same, even though it's not acted upon. Again, I guess it's fair that he's being blamed for the stuff that Sukuna does, because the entire thing was that he would have a stay of execution so long as he could control Sukuna. And he failed to do so. Better not clap. I guess Sukuna didn't take control or anything again because he's still scarred. Oh, he's summoning the curse spirits? Yeah. Got it. Never mind. And the ending. I did not think we would see. I didn't think you'd have enough. I'm rambling. Not rambling. The brain is catching up with the mouth. I was worried that they were going to imply that somehow he had gotten Todo's powers and he was about to clap to teleport or something, or change places with things. Obviously, the moment he clapped and nothing happened, I realized, oh, he's making noise to summon the cursed spirits, which makes sense. I was about to say, as well, they're using the ending, and I was going to say, oh, I would think with all the shit that happens here, they wouldn't need to fill time with the ending as well, that they could expand it out. But it occurs to me, and this might sound insulting to the show, for those of you who appreciate long-standing shots of art, we did get a lot of still shots that took more than like 10-20 seconds, implying that they had exactly as much story narrative to work with here at the final episode, and they really needed fill time. So they really needed still lingering shots of stuff. I would argue they could have stretched the story a little bit more. Surprising. I actually thought there might have been a final thing. Because, like, we haven't done Stroll. I can't remember what it was called. Jujutsu Stroll, or whatever it was, where we just had, like, moments with the characters. Also, I couldn't remember what the ending was like, so I thought for half of a second that the ending shot was actually going to be them in an evacuated city. Because, like, when Megumi shows up and he's just looking around, and then she shows up and they're just looking at each other, there is nobody else in that shot. Could conceivably be them hunting people down, but that would also give away the fact that she survives, possibly, and that's still up in the air right now. Literally, she's dead, and then he froze her body in dead time. So the idea that she could come back is only out there because he's kind of thrown it out there that they're hoping for it. And we haven't come back to it at all. There's a lot of shit we haven't come back to. Like, for all we know, Megumi's just sitting there on the, on the ground when all of these cursed spirits rise up. He could have been shouted down upon if nobody was there to help him. I don't know. I don't know. I like the change in the status quo. The change in the status quo is very interesting. That normal people, I mean, it kind of turns things into a Chainsaw Man if you think about it, where people know about what's going on because how could you not? The situation is so out there. How do you explain people just suddenly exploding? I guess the tourism industry in Japan is ruined because if you're not, if you're from one of these other countries where brain didn't like activate you, you're gonna go to Japan and people are gonna be like, by the way, there's invisible monsters. You can't see them. Nothing you can do. No more tourism in Japan. Uh, Mai's selling of Japanese stock is so of the world that I have to love it. Like she's doing but if you really think about it, that a manga fan would talk about doing after the fact. She does it before the fact, and then you find out later why. Well, also, does she have a broken deal with Brain? Like he says, when I took over this body, some of my previous arrangements or deals, pacts broke. Does she know this was coming to have done that? Because her selling those stocks ahead of him doing anything assumes that he's going to win and all of this would happen. So that also assumes that she knows everything that's going to happen. So how would she know to sell all of this unless she's only selling it because of the damage done to Tokyo? Which would be, I don't know, a thing. Right? That's some serious negative thinking. Sorry, I also apologize. I've been doing this all reaction. My nose got super itchy just before I started recording. Yeah, I don't know. There is a lot to think about here. But, I mean, there's a lot to think about, but there's a lot that just follows on, right? But I think the major thing I appreciate is the element of Tokyo is just this is abandoned area that cursed sorcerers are like saving survivors in that couldn't be evacuated because how do you evacuate them, right? If you're not one of the people that can see them or fight them. I mean, you can see them, but there's nothing you can do about it. I don't know. I think it's a weird thing that Brain activated all these people. But then again, he's trying to create more variance and chaos in what people in cursed spirits can become, I think was his goal. So, in that, it doesn't serve their purposes much to just create just chaos without causing that variance of people fighting one another. I guess that's something we also didn't get shown. Except, I guess Yuta going after Yuji is kind of that element being shown of these people having to fight one another. I don't know. It's funny that I talked about Heavenly Delusion because this kind of feels like, specifically in the Tokyo area, the post-apocalypse area of Heavenly Delusion, right down to sometimes invisible monsters that can fight and kill you out of nowhere. Not so much Anglerfish, the first real bad guy from, right, second real, the main backstory bad guy in Bleach, the one that literally tricks you to eat you. Anyway, bullshit from the government, you know, mainly on blaming Gojo or holding Gojo as an accomplice for what's happened. I don't know where that comes from. And then the Yuji thing I don't really have that much of a problem with, because Yuji is always been executable. that was the whole plan. Eat as many figures as possible. Eat as many figures as possible. And then kill him. Alright, I'm laughing because, as you know, we record these live on Fridays at 11 a.m. EST, and Alex is begging for their notes to be read, and I just could not help but find that funny in the moment. I, of course, do have a tab open with their notes. So I guess, why not? Now is the time, right? Let me putting this over here so I can still see the window and everything. So, Alex in there. Again, I'm going to keep calling this weird, Alex. It's weird that you're commenting about episode 23 in the YouTube section on an episode 6 thing. So people that are just joining in to watch episode 6 are going to see your questions about the very end of the show. But where else would you do it, right? Where else would you make the comment? Well, you made it to the end, finally, and since there won't be any more Jujutsu Kaisen reactions until 2026, I hope you can read this comment after the reaction to episode 23. Please! Ha 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 ha. 1. Mind you, this comment is written out on an assumption, which could be wrong, as 10 out of 10 reactors are confused by Brain's explanation of what he did. So just in case, here is a breakdown. After absorbing Mahito's technique through the supreme art of Geto's technique, Uzumaki, Brain used idle transfiguration remotely to alter the bodies of 2 types of people he had already marked in advance. These 2 types of people are potential vessels. These are people he made ingest cursed objects similar to the fingers or the death paintings from ancient sorcerers with whom Brain made pacts during the last 1,000 years. And potential sorcerers, these are people with cursed techniques but with the brains of non-sorcerers. In other words, people who can only see curses, like Junpei. With idle transfiguration, Brain altered the bodies, specifically the brains of these people, to be the same as those of sorcerers. The first type was given the strength to allow the incarnation of the sorcerers sealed in the ingested cursed objects, and to take control of the bodies, similar to Yuji, although, as I mentioned previously, Yuji is an exceptional and strange case to be able to suppress an incarnated sorcerer. And the second type was given the ability to manifest their dormant curse techniques, like what Mahito did with Junpei. Also, as Brain said, he planned for these chosen people to fight each other to strengthen their understanding of cursed energy. This being what happens when sorcerers and cursed spirits find themselves in life or death situations, like what happened to Yuji and Mahito, and their exponential growth during the fight. In addition, he not only made pacts with sorcerers, but also with cursed spirits, but as Brain mentions, upon obtaining Geto's body, the pacts with these were undone, and the cursed spirits were absorbed by the cursed manipulation technique, which Brain then released before leaving Shibuya. Note, Brain was the one responsible for Megumi sister falling into a coma and not the curse of Bridge, and therefore is also the reason why she did not wake up after exorcising the curses. Well, yeah, I called that. I know that she was... I recognized her even though we'd seen her like twice in the show. Yeah, and I have to say, I recognized her. I was looking at the name on the door, and I'm like, what is that name? I did not recognize Megumi's last name for some reason. Yeah, no, I mean, I think I called that right. I was talking about the fact that he unleashed the abilities of the people that he had marked, and that he had made pacts or whatever with cursed spirits that he was not able to keep together because of when he took over the body. So, I mean, there's the one thing I will not debate was that I was still confused, but everything you mentioned here in point 1, I still understood. I will say the part about what they specifically could do, I did not get. Specifically the point about ancient sorcerers, I did not pick up on. I thought it was more Yuji versus Junpei situation. I guess technically Yuji does swallow the fingers of ancient sorcerers. Never mind. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I was thinking it was a Yuji versus Junpei sort of thing. I did not even consider the fact what Yuji actually was. Alright, and 2, as you may have noticed by this season finale, the whole Shibuya incident arc is a transition arc, and actually the whole season for what's coming in the future. This all sets up the decline of Japanese society, the unknown situation of Maki, dead or alive, the possible death of the head of the Zenin clan, Nabuto Zenin, and thus far, the unknown future of the clan, Todo's status as a sorcerer, Kugisaki's situation, dead or alive, the pursuit of Yuji, the pursuit of Principal Yaga, the incarnation of ancient sorcerers, people possibly mentally unstable with a newly awakened curse technique, the mystery of Yuji's genealogy, Sukuna's possible future freedom, and any questions you may have that you would like me to clarify. Sorry, I'm reading this here, and there's paragraphs being typed at me. I can see it out of the corner of my eye. So, Alex, I will get to you in a second. If it requires a spoiler, obviously I won't answer it. Sorry, I'm laughing. I'm laughing so hard because I'm still covering this. Sukuna's possible future freedom. Yeah, I have to think that Sukuna still set themselves up for that whole I can get this much time free to do what I want so long as I don't hurt anybody. It's still a play of a game for the future. Yuji's genealogy, obviously, always been a question for me about what the whole grandfather thing was, and we still haven't called back to that. I don't think it requires those people to be mentally unstable. It's just the element of the people who showed up early on in the Shibuya arc were clearly mentally unstable, and they took pains to show us that they were before we started fighting with them. Incarnation of ancient sorcerers, yeah, because we haven't been introduced to a lot of ancient sorcerers beyond Sukuna. I guess, and possibly the idea of whoever Megumi's ancestor was fighting in the past. So, kind of like we need the introduction of ancient sorcerers before we can start fighting the incarnations of them. I already said the Principal Yaga thing was kind of bullshit. I mean, he's kind of responsible for not interceding about Geto, I guess, but I don't think he's responsible for Gojo, and I think they're hitting him for Geto and Gojo. The pursuit of Yuji, which is also not bullshit. It's not bullshit because they set it up in like episode 2. Well, they set it up in episode 1, but they explained it in episode 2. Yuji's existence has been on a razor's edge the entire fucking show. The whole thing should end when Yuji dies, so. Kugisaki's situation, Todo's status as a sorcerer, I anticipate there's going to be a workaround. He's going to be fine. Or dead. My curse is my curse, where my favorite characters just die. Possible death of the head of the Zenin clan. I don't know. I liked Nabuto as a character, so I would like to see him come back. I don't know what's happening with him right now. The unknown situation of Maki, dead or alive, talked about that already. The decline of Japanese society. I don't know. Feels like it's going into a real Akira situation, right? Neo Tokyo, and they literally did discuss the outside, like that superpower. They said what they would do if this situation arose, and it really also makes me think about Akira, like how the American Navy comes, sailing out to observe what the hell is going on with Japan, and this kid Akira. So, yeah, I could see that being a story point. Let's see what live Alex had to say while my head was turned in the other direction. Oops, sorry, opened the wrong window there. Forgot where I am. Move this window back over here. Wow, you were typing paragraphs. Let's see here. How'd Inumaki lose his arm? To start off, it should be noted that he only lost one arm, the left one. This was a translation error. Now, Inumaki lost his arm because of Sukuna's domain expansion. He was near the edge of the domain. Remember in episode 17, two girls were saying, I don't think we have to worry about it? Huh. Remember that guy with the microphone? He should be close before turning into dust from the sure hit. That's where it happened. Well, I blame Sukuna for it anyway, so I was just right happenstance. Why don't they want to release Gojo? And why are Gojo and Principal Yaga, so I keep saying Yagi, I'm putting an I into an A, being blamed for the incident? There are 3 reasons why they don't want to release Gojo. Well, before I keep going that, how could they release Gojo? Geto has Gojo in the box, right? That's what he was carrying out with him, I thought. So, one, Gojo didn't properly dispose of Geto's body, which led to the body being stolen, thus accomplice. Okay, you said dumb right there. I completely forgot that he just let him sit there and then disappear. So, I guess 1 strike against Gojo. I forgot, it's dumb to have him killed because of that. I guess it's dumb for him to be killed because of that by action movie rules. In the action movies, when your good guy lets the bad guy go by mistake, they get a little, wave, slap on the wrist sort of thing. But, I don't know. 2, he postponed Yuji's execution despite the warning of the possible disaster it could cause. Also, Gojo mentioned that he would take responsibility if anything were to happen. Well, now they're holding him accountable. Fair. You know what? Fair. That's also 2 strikes against Gojo, so I'll hand you that one. Yuji would not have been able to turn its Sukuna of that, even of that power scale, had he been executed immediately. So yeah, you can have that one too. And 3, Gojo was their biggest pain in the ass for the higher-ups leading the Jujutsu Society. And with him gone, the higher-ups have full command of the Jujutsu Society without opposition. That's the dumbest one of the reasons then. Because, yeah, probably was you who said in the comments before that Gojo could kill everybody in Japan if he wanted to. However, that was also a spoiler for them later saying Gojo could kill everybody in Japan if he wanted to. But yeah, again, I still think Gojo is being held by Geto in the box, so they couldn't release him. Anyway, not that they could do anything to him if he was unreleased. As for Principal Yaga, since he was the one who supported and allowed many of Gojo's decisions, they're also holding him accountable for his actions. I disagree. Not on the fact that you're not saying what... You're saying things that are true and factual, so I'm not disagreeing on that. I'm disagreeing on the point of view of what could Principal Yaga have done if he disagreed with Gojo? I guess that kind of goes for the higher-ups leading the Jujutsu Society. What could they have done if they disagreed with Gojo? Because I feel like the answer is nothing. Jack all. So I don't think you can be held accountable if you can't do anything to stop it. Now, the fact that he openly voiced his acceptance and support, that's a different thing. but at the same time, he didn't actively take any actual action that allows anything to happen. I guess he does help Yuji train. That's actionable. Okay. I don't think he should be killed for it. Obviously, this is a situation of use whatever resources are available to help your situation. And in this case, Principal Yaga is a Jujutsu sorcerer. He should use him to help the situation. Versus Yuji, who you see as literally holding your enemy within him. You can't use Yuji. Yuji needs to be executed from your point of view. Not you, Alex. You, high command of Jujutsu Society. But Principal Yaga you could use. Let's see, what else? Why do very few sorcerers appear outside of Japan? To start with, few is an underestimation. Only 1% of sorcerers are non-Japanese, and this is due to Tengen's barrier. I won't explain further because this will be talked about in the next season, and I'll be there to clarify just in case. Yeah, I mean, underestimation is fine. I think I mentioned this a lot when it comes to like zombie media or post-apocalypse stuff. When it comes to like population, if you took 1% of the population of any area, well, not any area, if you took 1% of the population of Earth as like a broad spectrum, you would still be running into people all the time if 1% of the population survived an apocalypse. There's been a lot of post-apocalypse novels that I've read that deal with like post-apocalypse London. If you take the population of London and cut it down by 1%, you're going to be running into people every block that would survive the apocalypse if 99% of people died. Like, to get to the numbers that you would see in, like, a zombie movie where you, like, run into one person every so often, like, every month, you need to, like, kill off 0.0000001% of the population of the Earth for that to work out, to fit your movie standard. So yeah, 1% of the population of the Earth being non-Japanese would still be a lot of people. Like, I think we're talking like 1 million or hundreds of thousands. I can't remember off the top of my head to do the math. Does Rika still exist? Wasn't she released at the end of the movie? As I mentioned previously, the case of Rika Orimato's incarnation as a cursed spirit was an extremely rare one. When Yuta accidentally cursed Rika, he bound Rika's soul to the cursed energy of his rejection of her death, turning her into a cursed spirit. When Yuta freed her from the curse at the end of the movie, he only released her soul, but the manifestation of his cursed energy as a cursed spirit remained. Now this cursed spirit is more like a Shikigami, which Yuta called Rika. In this case, the author takes into account the reality that people do not necessarily kill each other, despite the contentious exposition of other works. In this case, Brain shows people prone to violence. Sorry, I thought that was a continuation of the Rika thing. I didn't realize you were answering a different comment. I actually forgot that he released Rika. I thought Rika was still with him. So when I was mentioning it during the reaction, I was like, oh, I thought Rika was in the sword, because I thought that is the transition. So that's the transition they make during the fight and in the training segments. So my memory went back to that, because again, it's been a while since I watched a part of this with Justin and then came back again. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's also the element that, Rika could just stayed on her own. I don't know what the element is when you contextualize the fact that the afterlife is real, I guess, right? Because he cursed Rika's spirit to remain, and she became cursed energy, I guess is to become a cursed spirit, she has to become cursed energy. So if he releases her from the curse, and she just becomes a spirit again, she's just a ghost, right? Because what do you call the energy that's not cursed? It just is spiritual. And in that context, could she just, like, Patrick Swayze this? Choose not to go to the afterlife and stick around and protect Yuta on her own? There hasn't been a lot of talk about what happens to people. I don't actually, sorry. What I'm trying to phrase out here is the fact that I think Rika is the only one who died and was cursed to stay and then transitions back into being a normal spirit. I don't think we talk about that in any of the other Jujutsu Kaisen context. Because there's no other way for it to happen. If somebody dies normally and becomes a spirit and goes off, they're not within the purview of the show. The show doesn't handle their situation. We don't see somebody just go to... Sorry, I keep saying like heaven and whatnot because I'm using a Western contextualization of the afterlife. I'm not actually exactly certain about like Buddhism and whatnot to make any comments. In fact, I'm now realizing I'm so unable to make any comments about Eastern religion and afterlife situations that I should probably just back out right now. I don't know what to talk about there. I don't know where they would go or what would happen to them in the Eastern religions. So, yeah, I'm thinking that's all I've really got here. Because, yeah, one thing Alex's comment here has basically established a lot. I've responded to all of Alex's comments on the situation to a degree that I think is available. I've stumbled, mumbled, and rambled my way through the ending of the episode up to the point that Alex begged me to read their comment. So, I think I've basically gone as far as I can here with the last episode of Jujutsu Kaisen. So, that said, as I said, next week, I have the poll out there already. Anybody could have filled out their character rankings on all of the Jujutsu Kaisen characters. I will be doing mine during the week, so at some point I will be putting a dead end on the character ranking poll. I will be putting up the board, and next week we will be seeing how the characters rank. And until after that, we'll be waiting for Season 3, which I've already said we will be watching. That said, I guess that's it for today's episode. So once again, I have been Theta. This has been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?